Hi everyone, my name is Anita and this is a video testimonial for my experience with Elaine. So what had brought me to Elaine in the first place was basically a series of situations that had just wildly snowballed into each other that made me feel like I needed to find some sort of therapy that wasn't necessarily a traditional form of therapy to help me release the emotions that I had been harboring in my heart for basically years at that point. So my initial causes were that I had really intense anxiety, I had post-traumatic stress disorder, I was really depressed, and I was basically anxious to the point where I was like a high-functioning anxiety anxious person, where I would be able to do day-to-day things, but it was like almost impossible for me to, ever just be chill. I was like waking up with crippling anxiety every day. I couldn't sleep most nights because I was so anxious, and my post-traumatic stress is pretty bad. Little things would just trigger me and I would just be stuck in my feelings for a very long time. And the things that brought about all of these feelings in me were basically that I had been in an abusive relationship for about 5 to 6 years. And at that point I had decided to go to traditional therapy, so I did talk therapy. I even tried EMDR, which is a type of therapy that's good for people who have post-traumatic stress disorder. And the thing is, while it did help me reach a certain level of calm and understanding, I at some point just plateaued. And at that point I had continued to go to therapy for 2 to 3 years even after that point, and it just never seemed to get better. I was always kind of just feeling stuck. There was this just level that I couldn't get past. So yeah, it was that stuck feeling that really inspired me to go looking for another form of therapy that would help me move these emotions through my body and therefore out of my body. So at that point, I basically went on Google and at the prompting of my previous therapist, she actually suggested that I look into Reiki. And so I typed it into Google and I basically happened upon Elaine's page on Yelp. And I had been staring at her website for a very long time, and I thoroughly read everything that she wanted me to read, all the prerequisites. And at some point it just seemed like it was something that would really help. So basically I ended up contacting her, and when I contacted her, she called me back and we set up a time to meet. And basically, in that time also, before I contacted her, which I forgot to mention, was at some point my mom passed away, and it just added to all of the feelings that I had been feeling, because I just ended up feeling very alone, and I felt very misunderstood, and I felt very I felt very just alone, and kind of I was on my own little planet and there was nobody with me, And so when I met Elaine, it was I finally felt like someone understood me, and I felt like I could be who I was and tell her exactly how I was feeling, and it wasn't so crazy that I was feeling how I was feeling. And so as far as the talk therapy portions of her sessions go, she basically is able to pinpoint exactly what unconscious beliefs you don't even know that you're holding, exactly which ones are holding you back from getting to where you want to be. And And these are things that could be anything. It could be from family dynamics that are dysfunctional. It could be from past friendships that are dysfunctional. It could be from past relationships that are dysfunctional. It's just like every little thing that was present in my life that I was holding on to, that no longer resonated with who I internally am and who I saw myself being. She was able to pinpoint and bring to my attention and my awareness each and every single one. And that's like a very important thing, because unless you're aware of certain things, you can't really change them. So then you end up just in this cycle of stuckness, like how I was. So that to me was like very important. And she ended up explaining things in a way that was like very different, because it's not intuitive to understand everything through vibrational energy and through like physics and all this stuff. It's not something that, you know, you go to a therapist and you guys talk about that stuff, you know. It was like an interesting and fresh perspective that made sense, you know. And I'm so grateful that I was able to understand the world through the way that she understands the world, because it's changed my perspective on basically everything that I've ever gone through, past, present, and future. So yeah, so basically through the talk therapy session of the talk therapy portion of the session, we were able to uncover a lot of my unconscious agreements and beliefs that needed to be like completely eradicated and changed. And I guess through the Reiki portion, I felt like all the parts of me that were harboring like negative energy or low vibrational energy, I felt the energy moving through my body. I felt like it was finally being moved, and it was finally being released through the Reiki portion. So yeah, through that, I feel like she helped me remember who I am authentically, who I was before I was in these situations that were just so traumatic and whatever, you know. So that was like so helpful in me finding peace and healing through what had transpired in my life. And the other thing that I think is also really important to mention is that she helps you get away from like victim thinking, and she helps you step into more empowerment, and she helps you feel more like things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. They're happening because you have a destiny point. You need to learn these lessons in order to get to that destiny point, so that you can, you know, go speak your message, or so that you can go help other people. So I stopped feeling so down about what had happened to me, and I started feeling more empowered by what had happened to me. I started feeling more like, you know, I can use what happened to me as a story to help other women who are going through exactly what I went through, that, you know, in a way that makes it powerful, in a way that makes it like worth it, that I had to go through everything like that I went through. So yeah, basically through the talk therapy and through the Reiki, I ended up feeling the energy move through me and get released. Like the days following the session, I was like extremely sad, sadder than I've been in a while. And it was really hard to get through, but it was so worth it, because basically all of that was all the emotions that I had been holding tightly, clinging to, all that fear, you know, all of that pain. It was just moving through me finally, and it was coming out of me finally. And, you know, although this might sound cliche, it's like the only way out of your circumstance is to go through it. So it's, although it was very hard, it's very necessary to go through the motions and to actively, you know, work on your healing and your peace. So yeah, I'm still working on recognizing my light, and I'm still working on owning it, but I don't think I would have gotten to this point as quickly as I got to it if it wasn't for Elaine's help, and if it wasn't for her bringing to my attention the areas of my life, my belief systems and all that stuff that were holding me back, and that were like basically holding me hostage in this like victim thinking, and basically, you know, keeping me where I was and keeping me stuck. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have gotten past it or through it as quickly as I have. And yeah, basically the one thing I would also like to say for anyone that's going through something similar to what I had expressed in this video, you know, if you're going through a relationship that's either physically abusive or mentally abusive or emotionally abusive, whether it be a narcissistic abuse situation or whether it just, you know, whatever it is, although you may feel like you're crazy or you're alone or you need those people in your life, like, just know that there's a way out, and there's hope, and there's healing, and there's peace, and there's love, and there's all these amazing things that are waiting for you on the other side of the fear that's keeping you in that situation. And just know that, you know, the first step is please go see a therapist and talk about, you know, your feelings and everything that's keeping you in a situation that makes you feel like you deserve to be treated the way you're being treated. And then furthermore, at some point, I really do recommend seeing someone like Elaine and, you know, going through some sort of Reiki therapy, because it really does help you, you know, release those emotions, move past those emotions, step out of your victimhood and step into your empowered survivorship. Like, it's so amazing once you step out of that victim thinking. It's like a breath of fresh air, and you just see the world so differently, and you stop being so, you know, resentful, and you stop feeling that pain. Eventually that pain dissolves, you know, but it does take a lot of hard work. And I hope through this video I've encouraged you to, you know, make the change to face your demons head on.